guess you could say that I'm excited about a new Professor Layton game coming out. Ever since Level 5 shut down their non-Japanese headquarters, I, and a lot of other people, thought that we had seen the last of the Gentleman Professor. But to my pleasant surprise, it seems Layton is making a grand return. Which brings me to today's video. I've been wanting to talk about the Professor Layton in the Eternal Diva movie for a while now, but never made any concrete plans to do so. But I guess this most recent Layton announcement is a sign that I should finally get to it. Before we delve into the movie proper, there are a few notes on the voice actors I'd like to mention. The opera singer Janice Quatlane is voiced by prolific voice actress and singer Nana Mizuki. While Emma Tate provides Janice's speaking voice for the English dub, Mizuki's singing voice remains. Speaking of the English dub, this movie largely utilizes British voice actors. We have Maria Darling reprising her role as Luke Triton from the British localization of the games. Emma Tate also voices Emi Altava, replacing Lonnie Manella. Christopher Robin Miller reprises his role as the eponymous professor, but strangely enough does not reprise Don Pallow's very brief appearance in the prologue. He's voiced by Jonathan Keeble, who also replaces John Rubinstein as Jean Descolet. I guess the production team was really adamant about wanting to hire mostly British voice actors for the movie, perhaps because they wanted to make it sound as authentically British as possible. The movie opens with a brief introduction to the Professor Layton series and its massive popularity. Although I imagine that if you're watching this movie, then you're probably at least vaguely familiar with the games and their puzzle-solving, mystery-cracking nature. After that, we see the Professor and Luke in the middle of one of their adventures, solving a puzzle in a clock tower. And then, we get to hear that sweet, sweet Professor Layton theme as he finally cracks the case.
Yes, in a manner of speaking. Flora, you stay here.
Professor?
Oh, Flora, even in a movie you're still getting left behind. We get some more recaps of Luke and Layton's characters, including the Professor actually doing Professor things. After Luke is finished practicing his Phoenix Wright impression, we're taken into a flashback that takes place during the prequel saga. That's where we're given another sampling of some great music, this time featuring Nana Mizuki's vocals. Of course, you can probably see that's not just the music that's great in this movie. The animation quality is pretty much identical to the fantastic animated cutscenes of the games, and it's great to see a full-length animated film with this quality.
Look, that instrument is...
Oi, Layton! What do you think you're doing sitting in the front row with your tall-ass top hat on your head? I thought you were a gentleman. We then learn why Janice requested to see the Professor. She had encountered her supposedly deceased best friend Melina Whistler in the form of a little girl.
I have been given the gift of eternal life, Janice.
A creepy kid saying cryptic things? That's never a good sign. Not so coincidentally, the opera Janice is starring in, written by Melina's father Oswald, is about a legendary eternal kingdom called Ambrosia. The story says that the citizens of the kingdom created an elixir of eternal life, but not before their beloved queen passed away. So her people drank the elixir in the hopes that they would one day see their queen reincarnated. But who knows how much truth there is to the story. And then this happens.
The rules are simple. The prize for the lucky winner? Eternal life. But those of you who lose will lose your lives.
Our lives?
Can't be serious. We are going to put up with it.
What?
Can't be serious. We are going to put up with it.
Obviously, not everyone is on board with this death game. In fact, it looks like at least half of them understandably want to get the hell on out of there. Unfortunately for them, the malevolent masked man had other plans. But just as Inspector Grosky is about to apprehend the stranger, even more shenanigans occur. The theater rooftop opens up, the man turns out to be a balloon decoy, and the opera house is actually a giant ship. In other words, it's just another day for the Professor and Luke. Which brings us to the first puzzle. It's even introduced as Puzzle 001, just like how the puzzles are shown in the games, and we get to hear some recognizable puzzle-solving music.
Puzzle number 001. Look around you, ladies and gentlemen.
Layton, of course, solves the puzzle with flying colors. However, not everyone was so lucky. We get another puzzle, which the Professor once again flawlessly solves. The kid says some more creepy things, we get some introductions to the other contestants, and Grosky does this. Somehow he manages to be a massive punching bag of fate and a massive badass at the same time. It's honestly pretty impressive. After literally hours pass, they arrive on an island that's supposedly none other than the lost kingdom of Ambrosia. But who cares about that when there's food and booze to be had?
Wine, eh? Good, I'm simply dying of thirst.
Day drinking, proudly endorsed by Level 5. Meanwhile, as everyone takes a moment to catch their breaths, Luke attempts to bond with the little girl.
Hold it like this and you hear the sea. Except it's never really worked for me, though. I hear it. You can?
Luke, you're literally right next to the sea. But the reprieve comes to an end when some hungry wolves attack. Thankfully, Layton comes to the defense by giving one a bitch slap right across the snout. The professor and his companions find shelter in a shed, where they're surrounded by a menagerie of objects. Naturally, Layton sees these things and does what anyone would do in this situation. Make a fully functioning helicopter to reach the nearby castle. Is it absolutely ridiculous? Yes. Is it fucking awesome? You bet your ass it is! After another puzzle, Jean d'Escalay makes his formal appearance in this movie. Gotta love that all too appropriate organ music. And then we get to see Grosky bear it all. Kind of. At least Emmy doesn't seem to mind, though she probably has more important things to worry about than a naked man in the passenger seat. Luke and Janice find themselves in a bit of trouble, but Emmy and her crotch-kicking skills come to the rescue. You know, violence isn't anything new to Professor Layton, but I think this is the first time we ever saw someone get hit in the nuts. And now we've come to the climax of the movie, which is where I'm going to stop. With how wacky plot twists are a signature part of the Layton experience, I feel like giving away too much of the plot would be a huge disservice. But trust me, if you're a fan of the games, then you won't be disappointed.
Sing a song of the sea.
My angel of music.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. But just as the plots of the Professor Layton games are as emotional as they are crazy, the movie doesn't disappoint in that department either. And it's all concluded with Donna Mizuki singing the movie's titular song over the credits. Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva is what you get when you take the Layton formula and put it into a movie. And that's definitely a good thing. Granted, with how plot-centric the games are, I can't imagine it would be too difficult to make a film out of a mystery-type story like Layton's. Then again, that doesn't stop other adaptations of video games from being bad, because there are people who think that they can do better than the games by being wildly different from the source material. Thankfully, this movie has everything you would expect from a Layton entry, with an engaging plot, fantastic animation, and great music. In fact, it was so well liked that a second movie was announced. You could probably guess how that went. But now that Layton's making a comeback, perhaps this will be a beginning of a Layton-sance, with a new trilogy of games, a new movie, and maybe even more crossover spin-offs. But I won't get ahead of myself. For now, I'll just say that if you haven't seen the movie yet, then now just might be the perfect time. Thanks so much for watching! If you enjoyed the video, be sure to click like, and subscribe if you want to see more.